well, it's just another normal afternoon here at the Deep podcast. Oh my God. What in the hell happened to me? Well, I'll tell you what, my balls just hung deeper because I went through a puberty time, and this is something we all go through. And if you haven't gone through puberty yet, what the fuck are you doing listening to this podcast? And if you have, well, you know our pain. I'm with two puberty former experiencers, Gabriel Gonzalez and Jonathan Hinman. Let's hear your deepest voices.
Hello, good to be here.
That's okay, Gabriel. Come on, show me your balls are dropped. Give me some. Oh, come on, Gabriel. I wanted you to go through puberty. Well, anyways, we're talking about life after your hair starts coming out of places that isn't necessarily the top of your head. I'm talking about taint. We're talking about pits. Anyone got hair on the tip of their dick?
My uncle warned me, and he was right. It comes out of everywhere. It's fucking insane.
Yes. I personally remember going through puberty. Gabriel, what did you say earlier? You have hair that comes out of your asshole?
Whoa. Yeah, you were saying it right before we were rolling. You were saying your hair and your asshole. Go ahead.
The hair that comes out of your asshole.
Let's ease our way into that one.
Oh, he's saying that wiping.
But then I get it. You have to get to that story, you do have to subliminally sprinkle it at the beginning.
Yeah, you have to make Gabriel feel comfortable.
Yeah, so that when we do eventually get to that ass crack hair talk,
no, asshole hair.
Oh, it's asshole.
That's what you were saying. You had.
Oh, that's no. What the?
You were saying that's why you have to use the wet wipes.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
You have to use the wet wipes so that it comes off easier.
Oh my God, who is this?
You get crumbs that get stuck, and you said that the hair.
Basically, already told us about it. Just tell us again.
Now, the weird part was that you said
you got it when you were
I'm
dealing with two people. They would kill me if I try. So, all right. Let me. You know what?
Well, first of all, okay. Let me say this. What was the first memory that either one of you have regarding puberty? Well, maybe it's when it was explained to you. Perhaps, hopefully, it was explained to you before the occurrence ambushed your balls. What was your first?
Or I was like, I'm hitting puberty. Like
no.
Like,
you don't even know what puberty is. What is your first? Maybe someone explained it, or maybe no one just told you, and your balls come out your ass, or whatever the fuck happens, and you're what's happening to my body? The first time you ever became aware of what puberty even is, what was your take on it?
Damn, I don't know what that moment was. I think it was like I must have been in elementary school and kind of learning about sex because puberty, when you have any kind of sexual education, puberty is like, it's like, well, first you can go through this thing called puberty. But then after that, it'll be like this. And that's so strange because at the time you have no perspective on like what kind of caveat that means. You're like, right, after my body changes, right, into a different like state, into adulthood, literally like a grasshopper.
You know what's weird is that I was kind of mortified when I first heard of puberty. I was mortified by the element that we go through a transition, and we really don't. We're still the same person. We still look the same. We just have elements about us that become grosser. That's about it. We just become slightly more gross human beings. Suddenly, all those half the products you see in the human care aisle suddenly make sense to you, and you're. But when I was a kid, I was scared of becoming someone.
Still don't make sense to me, by the way.
What's that? The deodorant?
It just makes more and more sense. That you're looking at the senior aisle.
You have asshole hairs. Deodorant is the least of yours.
Sorry, it was a sick burn, bro.
No, but seriously.
And the worst part is I am real slick. I am just oh my God.
Sorry, I'm busting Gabriel's balls. Which I hope have dropped. We'll find out when we get to his backstory.
This reminds
me. What about you, Gabriel? What about the first time you heard about puberty? Huh?
It's not puberty, man. I don't remember these things. You really have a thought of you have a first puberty memory? Because mine just like subtly became reality.
Yeah, that's also like the time surrounding puberty is the time that I've like forgotten the most. I swear, it's just like damn. Now we're talking about like 5th grade shit.
So there's like a few memories,
and I've had so many other like post-pubescent thoughts that it's hard to imagine what I was thinking pubescently.
Well, I know what I was thinking. I liked who I've always liked who, but I was afraid of becoming someone I wasn't. I was afraid of like how much am I going to transition? Oh, you're becoming an adult. You're going to have responsibility. You're going to have all these. You're going to have attractions to things, and you're going to have these urges, and you're going to have. I'm like, you're basically telling me like my soul is going to shift. You're telling me that I'm going to become someone I'm not, and and that's what I was scared of. I was scared of, and I look at like these aggressive older, like the 8th graders in the locker room,
15-year-old
who are fucking sweating on each other. And I remember there was
that's a man. I
remember there was a kid when I was 11 years old who was like, yeah, I'll tell you what, pussy's the best thing in the world, man. I love pussy. And then like he would show me his porn in the locker room, and I was like, what the fuck is this? What I'm turning into? This fuck, like a fuck. And I realized, no, I just live in a town of garbage disposals, but it took me 20 goddamn years to get that revelation through my head. And so I don't know. I was scared that puberty meant to become a meat grinder and like just turn into this like stupid quarterback that I was surrounded by all the time. And I was like, fuck, that's what I'm turning into. And I'm going to start just sweating. Obviously, of course, you become a lot grosser, but I nowhere near became the disgusting individual I so thought puberty had in store for me.
How do you dive into that? How do you dive into that? Because I feel like there's a real... for me, it would be...
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point of like prepubescently, who do you think you're going to turn into?
And so then he's saying that you were afraid of... Not
I was scared. I was scared of... here's the thing. I knew I was a magical, sweet kid. Like, I was really the most like kind, like spineless, sweet kid who and I knew that I was, and it wasn't a ruse, it wasn't fake. I just really was polite, and I was, raised with very strict manners, and I always knew that adults and teachers, I was always the teacher's pet. Like even if I failed all my classes, the teachers loved who I was as an individual. So when I had this preconceived notion of what puberty was going to turn me into, I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to be good anymore. Like I thought like it was a coming of age where like the moon would eclipse and my eyes would turn black and I turn into one of these like, fat hog hounds that I was in the fucking locker room with, who just were the most disgusting kids. I mean, even by a grown 30-year-old standards, these kids were like little tiny Danny DeVitos who were just ate pizza and jacked off to Macy's catalogs. So I was very scared that I would lose the qualities that I so clearly saw in myself at the time when I was a kid, which was just being a sweet individual. I knew I was at the very least sweet.
Interesting.
And these kids were not. Most of the kids at my school were not sweet. And anyone who went to Christensen Middle School in Springtown in Livermore, California, knows very well what shitheads these kids are. What made them unsweet? They were horrible. Okay, first of all, the only friends I had were in the special ed class. When I was going through puberty, it was a very awkward time in my life because it was me coming to terms with being gay. Like, that was a huge thing. I really was attracted to women beforehand, and right when puberty hit, I started becoming attracted to men. It was the weirdest transition, because you always hear about people talk about how they're born with that show. I was born gay.
I knew when I was 5 years old.
I was born straight. I was born a man. I was born a woman on the inside. I was born with but I wasn't. I was really born a straight guy, and then when puberty started hitting, I started becoming a lot just more attracted to other guys. And then just by the end of high school, I think maybe a little bit after high school, I really just wasn't attracted to women that much anymore. But anyways, puberty was a time. So during that time in my life, it was already very confusing. My parents, right when puberty hit, split. So I'm like going with this identity crisis back home with who my family is. I'm going with my identity crisis with who I am sexually. And then at school, I'm having to deal with this notion of puberty, and we're having to get the guys together in the locker room and get sweaty and watch videos about balls dropping, and everyone's talking about pussy, and I'm not relating to any of it, yet I have to accept that my body is transitioning into this new person. So I wish at the time I had an adult figure who kind of told me, this is a big world, and these, fucking warthogs that you live in this small town with are not exactly the only type of man you can grow up to be. So I don't know. I puberty was very, it seemed much scarier to me. And then going through it, I was like, that was it. Like, I don't know. I'm still the same person.
I just came into it. I became someone different than I saw.
And there's a part of me also that when you were first mentioning this, I didn't want to, but it had a little bit to do with the other. That you were like afraid of becoming a man, right? Because I think that's what puberty means, right? Like you're going through the process of becoming a man, an adult.
I wanted to become an adult.
Or a woman.
Right. An adult.
No, but I'm saying that in this context. I'm sorry, go on.
I wanted to become an adult like my dad. Like I wanted to be him in a sense. Like I liked that my dad was successful. He was well mannered. He was still a sweet guy, and I saw myself as that as an adult. But then when I went to school and I saw what being a man meant, it was different. It wasn't this vision of success and hard work. It was a vision of like just like pussy and chicken wings and like.
Well, my mind goes into that would make it very hard then to like men, right? Because if they're telling you like, okay, so,
but see, well, no, that is a whole different route because the sexuality of it is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Like you could be, imagine if
I agree. Maybe I'm not making my. Sorry.
Yeah, because I'm talking about how gross they are and how I don't want to be. I don't want to become that. It doesn't mean that I can't be sexually attracted to it.
But there were many meanings of puberty. Like I could see puberty in part. Like I could see it as a responsibility. I knew that like my dad had manly responsibilities, and I knew that even like high schoolers who have like a job of some kind, like that's more responsibility. And but and there are all these like adulthood associations with it, but there are also obviously sexual.
I think. Let me try. I'm so worried. I'm so worried that I'm not wording it.
Jonathan
right.
and I are
and
kind
these so many. There were really so many things that you were touching on me. There's so many things that you.
Sorry, I know that was a long one.
No, and you can't like other guys.
Yeah, but like
easily maybe at that point. Maybe nowadays because it's Rob.
There's an interesting thought, or it's a thought. I'm thinking about angry sex. You can still be angry at something.
Let me tell you something. Being anger and like sexual desire or sexual attraction or just attraction. I don't even want to use the word sexual. Like just attraction to someone in general and anger and how much you hate them. For me, and I think with most, those are two totally different spectrums. Like someone, like I can't control like what I am sexually attracted to, and it was very frustrating that what I was attracted to was my antagonist at the time. You know, it's like they were guys who I had to live under, guys who, if I didn't dress like them, if I didn't act like them, then they made it very clear. And if I wasn't into what they were into, if I didn't, and it really was the age of MTV. Like when I was in middle school, my town really wasn't influenced by anything. Like it wasn't a creative town. Livermore, at the time especially, was not known for anything. It was people there didn't have an agenda. They just MTV was what really regulated sort of the standards in middle school and high school, and so everyone kind of thought the same, acted the same, all referenced the same. So we didn't have YouTube, okay? We didn't have Twitch or Instagram. We didn't have any social media. So like everything that we drank out of was from a selection of like 40 channels tops. And most everyone watched either Nickelodeon or MTV. So when puberty happens, it's like when you're becoming an adult, there's a very distinct image at the time of what being a passable person of society was, at least as a high schooler. I'm mostly using this platform to talk, which we're supposed to be talking about puberty, as a vessel to just get all this shit off my just to steam about how much I resent that time of my life.
That's that was a really hard time. I mean, like puberty, middle school is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, well, at the time back then too, like being gay or even effeminate as a guy wasn't in the. Yeah. I mean, kids today, gay kids, if you're gay and you're in middle school or high school and you're listening to this podcast, you have no fucking clue how lucky you are today.
Going back in time, it was only worse and worse and worse.
Seriously,
and worse.
just in the last 20 years. I mean, when I was in middle school, when I was like about 12, 13, if you were gay, like that was either hilarious or just sad. But it wasn't anything to be looked at as casually. It wasn't anything to be like, oh, okay, that person's gay, or oh, okay, she's lesbian. It was maybe not. I wouldn't say dangerous necessarily.
I would say dangerous.
You would say dangerous?
I would absolutely say that.
I would say, well, it depends on where you lived in this country. Certainly, in the town that I lived in, it wasn't super conservative. It wasn't super liberal. It was pretty, pretty. A lukewarm at least politically at the time, but it was still. I remember at the time,
in California, it's a nice town. You like Livermore's like a nice.
But I don't remember
town.
Any kids who were out. Maybe in high school, I think my junior year, senior year in high school, I remember there was a couple kids who were out. But middle school, I mean, all the gay people I know that I went to middle school and high school with. pretty much came out after they graduated. Maybe a handful of them didn't, but or came out before. But yeah, it was when you're going through that stage in your life and you're really coming to terms with who you're attracted to or what you're attracted to. When you really started having those thoughts about women. Like, I'm having those thoughts about guys, and the more they escalate, it's like, God, like, you feel ashamed about, who you are, and you feel like, and at the time, there wasn't any internet to turn to. There was no outlet. There wasn't a channel, certainly, on television that would cater to, at least not on on basic cable. I mean, there was nothing, and so I just really, it was shitty, and I imagine people my age who were also gay and having to struggle with that at the time too. I mean, it was not fun. But no.
and it's like, even it sounds like you had kind of like almost like a 180 experience, whereas like I totally did think this, and that now I am definitely gay. Whereas some people, maybe they knew more, but still going through puberty is a catalyst for that. It's like forces you to really deal with it. You can't repress it. Post-puberty.
There were a couple of gay kids that I went to school with who were out, and they were, and I can guarantee you, they're probably listening to this, going like, "You fucking pussy, we were there, we were out, we were strong. You were the one who was a coward." And there were kids who were much more effeminate than me and much more confident than me, and they will always be more of a man than I ever was. It's like that. I really, at the time, they got picked on and laughed at, but really, like, to be in a school as conservative as Livermore High was, and to be that out and that confident. I remember there was one kid who I was friends with for a short time, and he was out and he was very confident, but I didn't spend too much time with him because I remember just the association alone of being seen hanging. But I remember one of the yard duties, or hall monitor, we call them yard duty, the hall monitors came up and she was like, I'll say his name was Stevenson. Stevenson, you can't keep using the girls' bathroom, I told you. and he was like, why? He's like, we are who we are on the inside, or something like that. And it was something that today, I forget what he said, but it was something that was like very profound. But at the time, I scoffed at it, and I remember thinking, huh. But then it's like, wow, that kid was really ahead of his time, and I wonder where he is today. And if he's listening to this podcast, I really, like,
shout out to the courageous.
In hindsight, you were much more of a man than most of the guys who were at that school, and so that was insane to see that. But no, I mean, puberty is different for everyone, and it's not a picnic for. I mean, some maybe for some people. I remember there were kids who kind of embraced.
Yeah, everyone who hit puberty early seemed to have like a much easier time of it. They're like, check this out. Exactly. I'm cool because my biological clock's getting going now.
Exactly. I'm talking out my ass. I don't know what I'm saying. Even the girls who, my tits. Look at my tits. Gabriel, look at these tits. What did they say?
Yeah, I've just been listening.
They never said that to me.
It's been really fun.
But I remember, there was, everyone seemed to kind of be looking forward to it now that I think about it. And, did they ever make you watch those videos where they like separate the guys and separate the girls, and they'd make all the girls watch a video and they make all the guys watch a video?
Never separating us.
Really?
No. I don't think so. I think that would have been bizarre. I think if they had tried that would have been, at least at the place I was studying.
You would have felt weird, right?
No, I mean,
I felt weird. I felt weird going into a room with all these guys and talking about our dicks, because that's what we did.
No, but what would a guy need to know that a woman shouldn't be in the room for?
Exactly.
And why are we? And by the way, what are they telling them?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too.
That's hilarious.
It's like, why are we separating knowledge? Well, the boys shouldn't be learning about girl things, and the girls shouldn't be learning about those dirty boy things. And don't learn to keep it.
And that's how it was.
And that's how it was. That's how it was.
You know, like, I actually,
that's how the parents are.
That's how the parents are. Yeah.
I actually forget. The more closer I got, as my education got a little bit more. Never mind.
Well, just I had to.
And real quick, I had varying experiences. I went to some places where they were like, yeah, we like, here's a sex ed class. Yes, we're going to have that. And then other obviously, or well, maybe not obvious, but happen to be more conservative places where like, no, we never had any sex ed. And it was just like, talk less and less about that in some places and more in others. That's just the point is it varies by school.
And even the boys video that we watched, they still had our parents sign a waiver for that. So it's like, even that information about our own bodies, it's like, is this okay with you, mom and dad? Are they allowed to learn about? It's like, why are we so offended by our own anatomy? Why are we so offended?
They did send us with a letter home.
Oh,
right?
fucking hell! To learn about peepees and pussies and shit.
I think it's actually kind of an interesting thought because, all right, is that a conversation? Who do you give that conversation to? Would a parent be? But then if they haven't had that conversation yet, why haven't they? But then they're saying,
okay,
if you haven't had that conversation, we might be going into, I don't know.
Here's my thing.
I do understand why they ask, but then they don't ask for like religion.
I understand why they ask to an extent,
like theology,
but I don't understand why, as a society, not to get all whatever hippie on us, but as a society, why are we so afraid to talk about two things that we shouldn't be afraid of talking about, and that's sex and death? Like, why are we never talk about death?
Because if you're a child. And who's the ones talking? Because there are a lot of people who could talk about
not
these
even
things.
As a child, as an adult, death is such a removed experience from us. We don't even know. Like as soon as a person dies, we go through every measure to make sure we don't know what that body's going through. Mm-hmm. Same with sex. We go out of our way to not know or to limit kids. And then what happens? Kids get horny and they fuck each other and they don't know how to do it and they have kids.
What would you want to say about it? That we rot?
Not that we don't. Not that there's anything to say about it, but that we don't have to play like it's because we act. And this is a sidetrack. I know we're talking about death.
No.
But we talk about death because you and I, we talk about a lot of stuff. But death as a society, we are so blind. We don't even know what most of us don't even know what an actual dead person even looks like. I'm not saying we should know that, but I'm just saying like there's certain topics about our own bodies. There's certain topics about who we are that we get so touchy about.
I've thought about that.
I don't.
The thought is that the way you perceive your own body and the implications on your behavior are very powerful. And the way that we view death, what we think is going to happen when we die, is a very powerful influencer on our behavior. Because it matters a lot what I think, to me, what I think happens after I die, or what death is, and what I should do with my body. That is an important idea. Yeah. And they're therefore mechanisms of control. People control what you think about your body, control a lot about you. People who control what you think about death and life after death control a lot about you. Right. That's a fact.
That's true.
But that's what the original idea was, the teaching. And then why they send that letter home is that because this specific topic is something that, depending on how you view it,
a belief is a control. And I'm not saying either way, but a belief can be a mechanism.
But the school doesn't. How are they going to do it? So what I think they did is they standardized it.
I don't give a fuck what you believe in. Our bodies are all the fucking same, and we need to manage them from an early age.
And that's
I don't
what the
give
argument
a fuck
is.
What religion
they try that, and they try that. So I think what they do is they standardize it, and they make like, okay, so here's the urethra, and here's the glands.
Oh, we're Christian. We don't have a urethra. We poop out of our...
Oh, you're right. Some schools, they don't even go that far.
Whatever the fuck.
This is the one thing I remember about class, like a puberty class. I don't remember, like, I know that there was...
Puberty
I know
class.
that they tried. I'm sure that they had, like, a bullet point, like this, and this is the male ball.
This is the male ball.
I don't know.
Testy.
And I'm sure
testy.
We'll have a testy test, so you better pay attention.
But the one moment I really remember is the teacher where she comes in and she's like, all right, I want everyone to take out
their dicks.
A piece of... No, that would probably be more accurate, but it was take out a piece of paper.
Me too.
Yeah.
Take out a piece of paper and then what?
And draw what you think the reproductive systems look like for the male.
I'm a grown adult.
The amount of triangles.
The worst drawing I will show.
Yeah, the amount of triangles with like a line. And then the amount of like the half cylinder with the two balls.
Oh yeah, it's very shapy.
Nobody knew.
I remember as a kid. Oh yeah,
they had like one tube for everything.
Dude, that teacher probably took those home and made a binder out of them, and like gets high every Friday night and flips through and just laughs. Just like, oh, look at these genitals.
He did have to. No, I hope they didn't. That would be crazy.
I would. I would collect it just to laugh. Like, make a coffee book of what kids think private parts.
They would have to. Wait a minute, that teacher would have to collect it because then if not, they put it in their backpack, bring it home. They say like, "What the fuck are they teaching you in class?
What the fuck is this? That's not what a dick looks like, Billy. This is what a dick looks like."
Wait,
sorry.
That's why.
Too much. I'm sorry. Jonathan's turning me down right now.
Wait.
Sorry. Let's talk about. So what did your PP look like on that paper?
On the thing?
I want to know what you drew.
Fuck that. I didn't draw.
What did your?
I'm sure. I didn't do...
Or did you draw tits or something? Did you get to pick which genitals?
No, I felt like I would have taken it very... I don't know what I did. I try not to, at least. I blocked out what I drew. What did I draw that day?
But I remember drawing a black
I imagine
space.
I would have felt a little weird because it's like, wait, are we going to do, is this like a show and tell? You know, like, are we going to have to show, like, well, there's my version, and, you know.
There's mine, this is what mine looks like. Wow, Timmy has a lot of skin. I remember when we were in sex class, what is this called? Puberty class? Whatever the sex science. Science of sex. Whatever the fuck they call these classes. Anyways, when I was in there, our teacher had us do this experiment. I don't know what you call it. Experiment? A demonstration, where we each had a Dixie cup filled with milk. Why milk? I don't know. It could have been any substance for this project, but she wanted to use the cummiest beverage, I guess. And I guess there was some kind of a what? Here's every kid had a cup. Now let me get to. She had everyone had a cup of milk or some shit like that in a paper cup, Dixie shit. And she said there's a dye, like an invisible ink or something in like 2 of your cups. All right. Now, and as I'm explaining this, what I'm about to explain to you, I still cannot believe that this is a thing. And I bet you it might still be. I don't know if other classes do this or other teachers do. Maybe you guys have done this before. But we go around the room and we had to essentially mate with the other students and mix our cups of milk with each other.
Now pour your milk into the cup of somebody you'd like to have sex with.
Exactly. It's like how she just made us pick at random. She just made us pick at random. She said, no. Here's how she said it. She's like, all right, now I'm going to time it for 2 minutes and or like 5 minutes or however long it was. Wow. And she said, and then everyone like mingle and mix fluids with each other. And after 2 minutes, we'll see. And the demonstration was to prove, because then she ran everyone's cups under the black light or whatever the fuck, the invisible, and to see how an STD can spread. That was the purpose of this demonstration, was to show how STDs spread so quickly. So like only 2 kids had the STD at the beginning, and then we mix each other's cups, and then we see how many other kids. But it was weird because essentially we had to walk up to other people and say, do you want to mix cups, or do you want to? It's like, why can't you just tell us STDs spread like wildfire? Why do we have to do this? Oh yeah, gonna have a great podcast story. No. But you know what? I was fucking traumatized for 2 minutes.
No, but that's actually the weirdest part. Is it actually did do something though. It's like you probably did think about it. I mean, the fact you know what it did more to me? It did more the fact that I had to think about how do I walk up and pretend to have sex with these man or women, and so I was only going. I'm with you. It's insane how she still won. She traumatized you, and then years later, sounds like a good lesson. Sounds like a good lesson.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Right, good practice asking people if they'd like to mate.
Right.
Well, you know what? She was insane. I wish I knew her name. She was obsessed with CSI. Wow. She was obsessed with Survivor. Like and every Friday we would have to watch an episode of CSI because she was like, "Oh, it's forensics. It's science still."
No.
Oh my God.
And if you're listening to this, if she's listening to this, I know you're obsessed with CSI, and I know that you're obsessed with seeing kids fuck each other. Okay, I'm sorry, that's a little too much. Sorry. She made us do it. She made us mix our milk.
Yeah.
I hope she can hear this podcast from prison.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. She's probably dead now. Anyways,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Oh my God. All right. Let's talk about our dick sizes.
I think we're all prepared to go there. We knew. We're like, puberty? Where's your face? Right. Puberty? Let's talk about it.
Okay, what was the first signs of puberty for me? I remember, I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but, oh, fuck it. It happened over 10 years ago, so really I'm absolved. Go ahead. When I was like
5 years ago.
When I was 10 years old, I would disappear into the bathroom at school to masturbate. I would masturbate like 6 times
old.
At 10 years old.
Wow.
Well, I was masturbating at 6 or 7.
Wow.
Not kidding. Yeah.
Masturbating?
And I've had this talk with, I actually, believe it or not, I've had this talk with like, with a lot more guys, a lot more straight guys. And like when you start masturbating, like how old are you? And like, I find obviously like 7 or 6 is a very young age, but I find that there are a lot of guys who actually like there's a few guys who like also start at that age. And, it's always by accident that you find out about it. Like,
not me. No.
Or you had to learn about Okay.
No, I just it was not that early. 6 years old. I was very innocent.
So here's what happened. And everyone I talk to, it starts the same way. You just lay the right way, and then something feels good, and then you just try and recreate that feeling. It's like a hedonistic thing. It's just like pure, like, how do I get more of that experience? And then like you just do it until you find a way that it feels good enough until you finish. But here's the thing. I thought I had discovered this I thought I was the only person who knew that that the body could be sick, because no one told me about it. No one's talking about it. I go to school, even at school, because none of the other kids, I brought it up to some of the other kids, and I'm like, yo, can you do this thing that like, I found this thing that I can do. And then like none of the other kids could really relate. So I'm like, because I'm like 7, none of the other kids knew what jacking off was.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my God, I have discovered a gold mine. And I'm picturing myself. Wow. And I distinctly remember this image of me at like 30 years old when I'm ready to come out at a podium in front of thousands of people at a press event. And I'm like, well, you simply grab it like this and you go up and down, and the audience goes crazy and they're applauding. And I got some kind of Nobel, like an award. And I as a kid thinking I'm sitting on a fucking gold mine. And I remember thinking, like, when do I release this information? Like, what if someone else beats me to it? What if I wait too long? It's like I have to sacrifice my pride. I have to know, when do I come? But I'm certainly not going to come a step forward as a child and say that I know this. I have to wait until I get old, like 18 years old. Then I'll step forward and say,
I need to confirm these tests.
Right. And then I remember I was at a sleepover with one of my friends, and like I think I was about 10. Yeah, I was about 10, and like kids, you go to each other's houses, you spend the night, and then one of the kids started talking about it, and I was like, no. Don't you fucking tell me about masturbation. Wow. He started talking. He said the word masturbation. That's what he said. And I remember thinking, like, what a cool sounding word. Now let's temporarily remove the definition from the word masturbation. It sounds like a pretty fucking cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Masturbation. It's a cool, powerful sounding word. So I remember as a kid, having not known the meaning of it, I thought, wow, that's cool. That sounds cool. What is masturbation? And he explained it to me, and my heart broke. I was like, fuck, he knows too.
He's already copywritten the word.
And there's a word for it. Well, I mean, the fact that the word existed showed me that there's a word for it. That means that I wasn't the first one to this. And I remember feeling so sad. But then I remember feeling happy in the sense that I wasn't alone. That I wasn't, because it was this one thing. I thought I was the only person who knew how to do it. And I also, by the way, after I discovered
this is like knowing, like having your own Santa Claus.
It's exactly, yes.
But it's like wow.
And then
but then it's like figuring that everybody else knew who Santa Claus was.
And he's real.
And he's real.
Yeah. And what's funny is after right when I first,
and nobody told you.
No one told me, but it clarified. It was nice because when I first discovered masturbation, I thought that it was I just happened to discover it on my dick. I thought like, oh wow, this must be. So I tried like jacking off my fingers. I tried like jacking off my ear, because I thought like, what if it happens to?
And then we jumped off.
No.
I was like, here's the great.
No. Listen to me. No. It's still a great story. Fuck off. First of all, but I thought that any part of the body could be. Because who am I to think? Oh, just the dick. What the fuck kind of cocky individual would think? Oh, that's where it ends. Like I was like, what if I could make my ear come? What if I could make?
I was thinking
like,
your eyeball,
my kneecap come? Because why would I? If I
just rubbing everything furiously.
Exactly. So I tried, and I felt like an idiot. So then when I found out that masturbation, that everyone knew what it was and they knew how to do it, then I was like, oh, okay. So it is just that part of the body, and because no one else was jacking off their ears and their fingers, yeah, I don't ask why I tried it. And it wasn't like I tried it for months. I tried it for like a night. But
right. Years later, just like, empty experiments like the Lonely Scientist. Like, no, they call me crazy.
Exactly.
I'm telling you.
But yeah, anyway.
When I discovered masturbation, I was a goody two-shoes kid, and so I didn't first off, it felt bad, like I'm not supposed to do that, so I didn't want to tempt myself or go there. And I was also a late bloomer, but eventually I had such a raging erection, because you do at these times, and they'd been a long time to just have raging erections, be like, this is like super uncomfortable. and like there's so many feelings that I can't like do anything with, but I wasn't empowering myself to do anything about it. Anyway, the first time I was like, and everyone like I knew what masturbation was. Other people talked about like yeah, like the motion is obviously very familiar, and everyone's trying to look like they have the most experience with it. So it's just so fucking flamboyant and dumb, you know. And and I remember I was like, oh, so I'm supposed to do this, and I like jerked off like jokingly, like oh, and it about like 2 seconds into jokingly jerking myself off, I was like, whoa, hold up, hold up,
right, hold on, I discovered something here.
Okay.
This isn't just your average 2-for-1 deal. I found.
Everything comes in
and all kicked in
already through information. It's like it's how everything got told to me in my life. I feel like. Nobody ever came out and said like Santa Claus doesn't exist. I just had to.
Right. This is like less of a concrete experience than we thought. This is a scattering of lots of little experiences. And then the first time that I heard any concept, it never like surprised. Like, what? This changed the opposite. Because I always liked girls. Like that I will say. Like as a kid, like I always liked the girl. Like when you were saying 6, I would be.
Strip club.
I was like, when I get older,
you know, kids saying like sweet, just like nice, like peck on the cheek or peck on the lips, you know. And then
I knew I wanted to marry and kiss girls, and they were
it was like, and they were the
marry and kiss girls.
They were the rival. They were always the rival. You know, sometimes like the people you'd pick on, but you chase around the but they wanted you to chase, and
I love that. You know, I loved getting chased by a girl when I was in school. You ever got chased by a girl?
Yeah.
You ever been chased by a girl? There's no more magical feeling. Girls, if you're listening to this, to all of our 8-year-old girls, really quick, I just gotta say this, to all of our kid girls listening to this. Chase more boys. Boys like it when they won't say they like it. They act like they don't, but they'll like it when you chase them. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
I was thinking of earlier when you're talking about like guys being such warthogs about puberty, and it really was like a race to show how far into puberty you were. And so, you know, like myself as a late bloomer, it seemed like everyone but like 3 guys were hitting puberty. And I just remember when there was so much dumb shit. Like I remember a dude like waving his nuts around.
Oh my God.
Like we're in the basketball room and there's like, like literally showing off his pubes. And I have that was seared in my memory because there were like 12 hairs. Like and it was just like, what the fuck? And as a 7th grader, I'm just like, this is so. Like I knew it was ridiculous,
it's filthy.
But it was disgusting. And then it was very funny to like wave that in people's face. Like you're like changing your socks, you turn around, and there's like 12 haired ball.
There should be a law against 12-year-olds showing their pubes to people.
I think there is. But I remember that being like part of the monstrosity of puberty and of like the male competitiveness and just like the disgustingness. What the fuck is happening? This is crazy.
You guys, I gotta say, that is one thing that I don't necessarily have as much of. I still face it as a gay man, but straight guys, the competition, like there's still competition in the gay world, totally. But like most of my male friends are straight. Like I have very few like gay male friends in comparison to how many straight guy friends I've had. In my whole life, it's been that way. Even like throughout school, I've always been friends with like a lot of straight guys. And I've never had that sense of competition. You hear about like when puberty hits, like when girls become on the market, it's like you hear about this general swelling, pulsating sense of competition that's just kind of always there among guys. And luckily, like my whole life, that is one thing. Like I've been picked on a lot. I've had my own share of like puberty or like adolescence bringing just horrible, you know,
see, I never
things. But that was never one of them.
I never felt that in my. The competition part.
Really?
It's so strange because I feel so many people talk like that.
It was palpable at like the dances, like anytime, or like
I played a lot of sports and it's all over the world.
I could see it. Like the guys would try harder if hotter girls were in that class. I remember seeing that in PE.
Yeah, but they were just good. Like I never, for me, when I played sports, I could play. I was usually on the teams, but it's like.
No, these guys were gooder when the girls were there.
When I got what?
These guys were better when the girls were there. I had
different experiences though with that. I'm just saying because I lived for a lot of my life in different places that were complete. I always felt comfortable with me being me. Mm-hmm. I felt like that was enough. So I never like competed with
that's amazing.
With other people.
Your parents must love you. That's very nice.
That's Gabriel. Very nice. No, I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
That's not in a way. I mean, yeah.
It's a form of enlightenment for sure. To discover that like a kid. you don't look like this.
No, the enlightenment part, because I get nervous with that.
Well, let me put it this way. It's a form of inner peace that people can't even find late into their 40s, 50s, 60s. And enlightenment, I think, too.
I honestly would. I think that's great, and it should be
to
really
just be okay with yourself. Do you realize
it's
how many
hard to
people
realize that.
strive?
I should have rephrased it. I'm okay with other people. Because maybe I'm not okay with myself. Hearing it back, it doesn't sound completely true. Maybe it wasn't necessarily I was...
But did you have anything to really feel like that ashamed of about yourself? I mean, like,
I didn't. I would agree. I didn't have anything.
Like, you were pretty well-rounded.
Yeah, but I just felt like I was okay in compare. I knew that I was. Here's this guy who's good at basketball, but then I know him, and he's like, but he's still got a lot of flaws, and he's just good at basketball.
Yeah.
Just really good at basketball. That's it. And then anybody else who had their thing, it was like, that's their.
Yeah.
And then when I thought of myself, it wasn't that I had something good at. It was just that I was like, all right, well, I feel like I'm a good person.
I had to be the best at everything, or I felt like I was a piece of shit. There's some degree of me that felt that way.
Right. I definitely, I knew I was a piece of shit, but I knew these guys. I knew the people who picked on me were much worse than me, and it sucks being the only person who's aware of something. Like I knew that these kids most of them were going to be losers when they grew up. Like part of me even knew that back then. And it just sucks because at the time it's like it was their kingdom. At the time I was in their reign, and so it's like I just have to put up with eat these people's shit for the next few years.
That's so interesting because it like forces you to feel like an outsider, and it makes you have a whole different relationship with like people.
Keep in mind too, Gabriel and I went to we had two very different like for instance, like you went to a couple different schools or a few different a handful of schools growing up. I grew up in the same town with we all knew each other. Like everyone I went to high school with, I knew them since we were like 6 or 5 years old. Like it's like we grew, like the people I went to school with were kind of like distant cousins in the sense that you just knew them since you were a little kid. And so if you kind of are labeled early on as like the one that people pick on, you're just always going to be that forever. You're just labeled that. So for me, it was tough because by the time I'm ending middle school and high school, it's like I was getting picked on a lot, and it like I envied new students who came to the school because essentially a new student can arrive to a setting and reinvent themselves. They can be anyone they want to be, and I hated it. Like everyone like you're not the only person who says I envy that you stayed in the same place. It's like there's downsides to that too. Just
but that is like obviously true to a degree. But as someone who was a new kid for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, it was like you did have that opportunity, but the act of it is really tiresome, and it's hard because you sometimes just don't have options. It's like, no, I don't have a way to have this identity. I can't like just become anything I want. It's like people have to, in many of these like social status situations, you have to have been an OG. You have to have been there since 8th grade. You have to have X, Y, Z relationships. To have certain options. So it's like like day one into school, like there are not that many groups that you can go eat lunch with.
Right. That's true.
I don't know. Just throwing that out there as
for me, day one in a school that I had been going to for 10 years, it was, and also not having anyone eat lunch with sucks.
And it's true. Like, you're totally right too that you can just be pigeonholed, and it's very hard to change like your public persona. That's also true.
There was this one.
It's hard out there. It's hard out there being.
It sucked. And not only that, even when I would eat lunch by myself, I would get picked on. Like I remember there was one kid, Ian Armkanesh. I will say his name. I will not change his name. No, he picked on me all the fucking time. He made me feel like a piece of shit. One day I was just sitting by myself, and I realized my backpack was gone, and I knew it was him. Somehow I knew it was this kid, Ian. And I went up to him and I said, "Did you take my backpack?" And I missed my class, by the way, because he had an open period during this time, and the bell rang and I can't find my backpack. And so I went up to Ian and I said, "Where's my?" And he said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Where is it?" And he goes, "I threw it in the dumpster." So I went to the back and I got my backpack out of the dumpster, and I asked him why he did that. And he just said, "As I felt like it." And I asked him, like, "Why do you always pick on me?" "Yeah, because I don't like you." There was no reason. There was no reason to his malice. And I suffer that shit every year. And so I just, Yeah, it sucked. It sucked. Like that was right around. I was like 13, so it was like right in the middle of that puberty time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a time. Puberty is a time when like bullies are getting a little more aggressive.
They get very aggressive. Yeah. I remember
step it up, and especially when you can't do anything back. Like there are many times where I was getting bullied, and it's like, and I can't talk back to you because you're like 40 pounds heavier of muscle. Like you've been working out hard now for 3 years into puberty, and I'm like at the beginning of it, and you'll kick my ass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary. It's a very primal world, the world of going through puberty and early high school or late high. I mean, just high school, middle school in general. Hard. Yeah, it's disgusting.
But eventually, everyone catches up. You all get older. You all hit puberty, and there's a lot more life to live. Outside and beyond high school and puberty itself.
Did you guys have to pass around the fake nuts and feel them? Stop. I'm not kidding.
I'm not. You're not going to.
I'm not kidding.
That did not happen.
You have to jerk off a fake dick into your mouth.
I am not. I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. They sent around. We had to pass this nut sack around the classroom. I'm not kidding. And we had to see if it had testicular cancer. So we had to like feel like where the cancer was, and like we had to like write it down, like where on them. We'd like there's like a picture, like a diagram of a nut sack, and we couldn't tell. We couldn't share the. We had to like find the cancer and then write where, and then draw where it was on the picture of the balls. And I thought to myself, this is fucking ridiculous.
So they got those props.
Yeah.
Wow. So that means that there's some room in the school.
Yeah.
Where they just have a bunch of balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And certain teachers go into that room on occasion. And don't come out until 5 minutes later.
Right. However long it takes to suck on some fake balls. Do you guys remember? I mean, did your schools ever address the sudden sexual urge that every kid had? Like, we had to have an assembly about this.
I think that for me, they're usually just more vague than that. Like, I know y'all are going through the hormonal changes and you got feelings, and everyone's like, meh. And that's it. And that's all they would directly say.
What about you? Did they ever mention that it's like kind of
games like
assuage you not to fuck each other or something?
No.
We definitely had. I remember a few assemblies where they would bring us together and they'd have like a guest speaker or some bullshit person who told us, "Don't say no sex is safe sex." I was like, well, perfect. I'm a very safe guy. Not by choice.
Abstinence only.
Right. And so it's like, oh, okay, great. Right. The perfect way to avoid dying on a roller coaster, just don't go to theme parks. That's great. That's just awesome. Right. No, it's like
my schools are pretty on lockdown. Like they wouldn't let you wear a lot of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like certain things you couldn't wear. Couldn't.
I remember
dress and that was the most of it. And then like sexual stuff, they expect people to date.
Yeah, but not to fuck.
I mean, it just didn't seem to be a problem. Like there was no kid. We didn't have a population that had like a lot of kids that were having babies. I've heard there's some schools that for real that's a huge thing where there was a bunch
of girls. In Alaska,
that's
a huge problem,
right? And so obviously you go to that, they're going to have that conversation. But at mine, these things just didn't happen. Then they were happening, but it just didn't seem to be. It was like on a different level. I don't know. So I just didn't live that life that a lot of people have. Like talking about these conflicts is like in general. I
had a couple friends in high school.
They locked it down so much in Asia because that's where I was when I'm talking about these. Asia.
Fuck each other. I distinctly remember feeling just. There were times in my like when I was like 13 or 14, just being blinded by thoughts of just sex and just being like attracted, like a bus would drive by and I'd be hard, and I just remember feeling like this overpowering urge that was primal, and I guess in a sense,
it's insane. It's like more than you feel later. It's like your first experience with like horniness is going to be its most extreme version of itself. Like,
and in a way that my original fear of transforming and transitioning into a much more primal, monster, in some aspects, kind of became true. Like that sort of like untamable urge for intercourse. Like, I just remember, like, it would keep me up at night, like, up until, like, you know, I'd have, like, sleepless nights. A breeze would blow by my shorts, and if I wasn't wearing underwear, oh my God, like, I better not be asked to come to the front of the class to answer a math question. But it's like,
I got good at thinking of things that would assuage an erection.
Right.
Like, I had to like practice, like, really specific visions of grandma kind of thing. Like, really unsexy things.
Just grandma. It was always grandma. Just think about grandma and get that dick soft.
But even not
get
grandma.
Soft.
Grandma would stop working.
Oh no!
Just kidding.
Oh no! Well, that's God. Grandma always worked for me. Thank you, Grandma.
Worked less and less.
Grandma worked less and less. And then Grandma only became an at-home thought. Well, anyways, you guys, puberty, I think what we can all take from this episode is that puberty is something to laugh at, you know? You got fresh hairs, fresh cum and sweat, and you start thinking about fucking everything or getting fucked, and just, it's a dirty time, and we just got to learn to not be afraid of it and just embrace it with open arms, because you always become a better and slightly grosser person on the other side. Guys, thank you so much for another wonderful dirty episode of Deep Balls. Gabriel Gonzalez, Jonathan Hinman. I am your host, Brandon Rogers, and I hope next time to see you with balls that are a little lower or tits that are a little there. And anyways, have a good night.
Don't sue us.
Don't.
Love you.
Bye.